Hello, welcome to the show. I'm Jacquelene Closemore and you're on A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV. And I'm coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia, the home of Lockdown 0.02. Crazy times. We've had 9 public housing commission towers locked down for 5 days. No one in, no one out, which has been horrendous. And 8 of those towers have now come out of lockdown, literally at midnight last night, and one of them is still in lockdown. Interestingly, across the road, in a really snazzy looking, up there apartment building, they have not been locked down. Okay, but just as they are coming out of lockdown, the rest of us are back under lockdown. So we have this whole energy here in Melbourne of being what's called ring fenced. So we're stuck in Melbourne and cannot get out. I've gone sideways. So I'm just proving that Mercury retrograde is a fun thing to do. Don't you love it? So I hope I don't do the show sideways. It's going to be kind of horrendous. Here we go. How about that? I should hopefully be facing the right direction now. Apparently not. Turn it back. Here we go. Okay. Am I facing the right way now? It's just going to be horrendous. But it's a bit like what's happening in Melbourne at the moment, really. It's sort of you're stuck where you are and you just have to make do. So I'm going to work on this while we go here. Now, I've been asked, when is this pandemic ending? When are we going to get out of this? It's actually quite the long haul. Some people have kind of been speaking about July 2021. Other people have been sort of speaking about 2022. There's a lot of talk going on, certainly in my field, between different people that I speak to about when that is. What I'm going to say is that we kind of need to prepare for this. And I think, if we can kind of maintain the social distancing rules, I know, difficult, but if we can do that, it's going to get a bit easier, to make the best of this. Look at that. You can now see my ceiling. You've got to love this. There we go. I'm back again. Okay. Wow. See, this is what you can do in the middle of Mercury retrograde. It's kind of been a unique time for media people. They've had their kids turning up, their pets turning up in the middle of their appearances on show. And I've just done, a semi-sideways kind of roll around the screen. So hopefully you're not all terribly annoyed with me, but it doesn't really matter if you are, because what am I going to do with it? This is live. You can't change live. It's one of those things. So I'm just going to keep touching this screen and we'll keep on the air. Being asked about this pandemic, I think the thing is, let's not get into all these conspiracy theories. There are a lot out there. Do I think that I want to believe everything the government tells me? No. Am I going to believe all the conspiracy theories that are out there? Am I going to name them all? There's just that many. There's a number of people who really get a lot out of conspiracy theories that really do not have your best interests at heart. And I think we shouldn't give those people more money, particularly people who are snake oil salesmen back in the 1990s, who are still around today, and their false information kind of backs up the hard right wing if you really do your research. And people often talk about, well, I did my research, and what they did is they watched some crazy YouTube clip, and that's not research. If you want to talk about research, talk to people aged 18 to about 25. They're really onto it. My son, Mr. Virgo, he's really onto it. He's like into the details, and he'll hate the fact that I even mentioned him right now, of course. But if you want to know details about things, I think look at some of the very young journalists we're seeing who are not paid by anyone except their subscribers, and you'll find those people on YouTube. So you've got Friendly Geordies, you've got people like that all around the place, putting out really interesting information. Paul DeFranco, Young Turks, a range of different things. And I think if you can kind of get onto that information, you're going to get a better chance. Whereas if we're sticking to the old time sort of media that's kind of owned by various mining company sort of interests that are linked in, you sort of look at where different people in media are linked into different other people and how that flows and what organisations they're heading up, you get into some really interesting times. So I think the thing is, I'll put out more about that on my Facebook page, Jacquelene Closemore Live. I'll actually go into it finally. I know you've been asking me. And I'll put more of a rundown to that in a way that I'm happy to do, and I'll put that in a written form. rather than put it on air and maybe not put everything the way I sort of need it to be. Now, I've got a call up from Melbourne. Since we're in lockdown city, we've got Meredith on the line. Hi, Meredith, you there?
Hi, Jackie. How are you?
I'm good, darling.
Hello.
Now, you've written in onto my Facebook page, Jacquelene Closemore Live, with a reading. We've got a little bit of time left, and what we'll do is we'll migrate across to the Facebook page after this as well. But thank you for writing in. Now, you're in an interesting time this year. You're in an 8 and a 9 year, sort of a bit of both, really. And what's going on there for you is it's transitioning from a lot of old karmic patterns to do with family and stuff like that, and also going into a 9, which is more about looking at what you want to clear out, what's working in your life, what isn't, and also you're asking about a gentleman you're interested in there. Now, I really felt some interesting control stuff going on his side. It's like he's trying to break out of this kind of web, a bit of a cage, and I feel he's going to do that, but it's like it's very, very, very complicated. And there is someone in his situation, that's how I'm going to put it, which you'll understand, and other people, it doesn't matter if they understand, but it just feels like he's in a situation that's no win, and he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. He has to be very careful, and it's my way or the highway. Someone wearing the pants there, and I don't think it's him, although I think he doesn't cross-dress necessarily. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And it feels like he's having to kind of just gently pry himself free. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'm gathering by the laughter. Yeah, when an Australian laughs when you're doing a reading, you know you're right. That will be crying. Sometimes, very occasionally, they scream at you, but luckily that's not happening today because that'd be very bad aesthetics. So with you, you're in a 9 year, interestingly, and of course, at the sort of coming into that 9 because you're born all the way down the end of the year, and your life path number is 9. So the thing to look at here is whether this is really on track with who you are, how you want to be, where you want to go. Just make sure that you're living out your integrity in this situation and not being put in a situation that you later on go, why did I do that? But I feel the thing is you met him at the right time. It's just been a bit of a rocky road, particularly from May onwards. It's a real up and down roller coaster here, and you're kind of like, it's like, can I actually hold on to this? Is that making sense to you?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just going to kind of keep holding on. It's like riding a mechanical bull, really. You ever tried doing that? It's not actually as much fun as it sounds, I've got to tell you. I actually got stuck on a 44-gallon drum.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So just hang in there for the moment. I normally would run a mile from this kind of situation, but in your case, you have great tenacity, hence the mechanical bull and the 44-gallon drum. Hang on in there because I do feel he's quite sincere and genuine. It's just he's having to come through a bit of a bull ride of his own. And I feel he's a very idealistic fellow, and I feel also here he's had to be very, very practical in the last 18 months and really curtail a lot of things that used to be important to him that he now realises isn't. And he's gotten a lot more real. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So you just got to kind of hang in there because I think he's going through a bit of clearing out his closet. You were talking about interesting acronyms there, but so there's a lot of stuff going on there, and he's having to clear it out, get a lot more genuine in his own life, and do what feels that's the reality of his heart instead of saying and going along with the flow of how things had to be according to status and symbols and how we appear publicly. Has that been the change he's been going through? Yeah, just got to hang on in there is how I put this. Like I said, some people I tell them to run a mile. There's a big bun fight coming. You know that. You're totally ready for it. Okay, law is an interesting word, isn't it? It's not necessarily in law, I find, that it's necessarily the people who are right who actually win. It's the people with the best arguments. So he's going to need to be very careful here because somebody else can argue the law incredibly well. And I think that might be quite key, but we'll leave that one alone because we don't want to identify anything. I think, just try and keep this real. Just remember he's going through a massive transformation with or without you anyway. That's what's happening to him. And that's a good thing because it means he's coming to you at the right stage of his evolution to be real about this and not just, I'll put up with. But what I don't want you doing is putting up with toxic behaviour. And I think that he's been pretty good on not going there, but you just got to make sure you don't become codependent in the middle of this. That's what I would say. So I hope that helps you. I'm going to go across to the Jacquelene Close-More Facebook Live page. You can answer and ask more questions there. I know that you wanted to know about the pandemic because you put something on Facebook there. So I'll pop you on there too, and we'll go further into this. And thank you for writing in. So thank you everyone for listening in, and thank you also. Last week we had Jennifer from Florida. She's actually gotten back to me and validated what I've said in her reading, and we've gotten into a lot more detail. So thank you all as well for Jennifer. Thank you everyone for watching. Sorry we can't get to everyone who calls and puts their name up, but thank you for connecting with us anyway. We'll catch you next time on Jacquelene Close-More Live. In the meantime, hop on for more shows for the rest of the evening on A1R and Moonstruck TV.